Papa, are you nuts?
Good afternoon, everyone. So this evening, I would like to do a follow-up the video I did about the white supremacist domestic terrorists that absolutely unlawfully infiltrated the Capitol building. They did some vandalization. I come to find out there were a few deaths, okay? There was a lady who got shot in the neck, and then there was 4 other people who, from medical complications, actually died from strokes and or heart attacks. But nonetheless, I would like to look at this in a different light. I believe that these were good white people exercising their right for peaceful protest. I believe that these were good white people who were exercising their right to peaceful protest. I mean, I look at them almost like the Black Lives Matter movement, where Black Lives Matter, they got together, they had an agenda of what they wanted to accomplish. They had a roadmap of where they wanted to protest in and some of the talking points they wanted to essentially put out there and let them know that the injustice of melanated people, of police brutality, and that the justice system has failed us over and over again, and we're not going to stand for it. When I look at these good white people who exercise their right to peacefully protest and assemble, not only did they get a pep talk and a pep rally from Donald Trump themselves prior to them marching on the Capitol. So, and essentially, I wonder why, and you got to really think about this in a very different way. Why didn't any of them, essentially, except one person, get harmed? That's because these guys were very peaceful. They did things the right way. They didn't trespass on the Capitol. They might have got permission from Donald Trump himself. Or Donald Trump said, in hindsight, hey, there's going to be some people who are protesting who may or may not enter the Capitol. Do not touch them. These were just good white people exercising their right to protest. See, whereas though the Black Lives Matter movement was a gang of thugs looting and rioting and stealing and burning down businesses, okay? It was a very small piece of the Black Lives Matter movement people who are actually doing the right thing, who was actually standing up for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. There was a few of them. Let's just say if it was 1,000, it was 20 people out there that's really protesting, while the other 980 people were stealing and looting and rioting and destroying property. I know some of you are like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But see, this is the point of white supremacy where you guys don't understand. I was talking to a guy who's been a member of my channel for a very, very long time. And we have been going back and forth in the chat as far as, the comment section, okay? He left me a message and I replied. And what he doesn't understand is that I just don't throw out the term white supremacy very easily. Okay, I don't throw out the term terrorist very easily. I'm a former military member. I know what the terrorist is. And these good white people who peacefully marched on the Capitol and somehow gained entrance into the Capitol and took a tour into congressmen and senators' office did nothing wrong. But see, this is a point where you don't point out white supremacy and terrorists. Because here's the thing, if you are a white supremacist, then you are a terrorist. I don't care, because think about the definition of white supremacy. Belief that white people constitute a superior race and should therefore dominate society, typically to the exclusion or detriment of other racial ethnic groups, in particular Black or Jewish people. See, we need to understand that white supremacy ruled the nation, ruled the world because of slavery. Did our enslaved African brothers and sisters, did they go through terror? Did they go through terror? Because here's the definition of terrorist: a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. That is what a terrorist is. So the people, the good white people who peacefully marched on the Capitol and walked into the Capitol doors were terrorists. See, you see how we can flip the narrative here? They were good white people that peacefully marched on the Capitol, that went into the doors of the Capitol, but they were terrorists because they were trying to stop the peaceful transfer of power from one president to another, because previously from that moment, Donald Trump held a pep rally, or he planned out the events. And if you guys did not hear what he said you guys should be wild. W-I-L-D. Let's just do the definition. I love doing definitions because words actually mean things. Okay? And that's what we need to understand. That people are not just throwing out terms for no apparent reason. Wild, a natural state or uncultivated or uninhabited region. Treat a person or animal harshly so they become untrusting or nervous. This is wild. Donald Trump told his followers to be wild. And see, the narrative is when I call out white supremacy, some people don't like that because they don't know what white supremacy is. They don't know what a terrorist is. See, a white supremacist is a terrorist because they terrorize non-white people. They either do it physically, verbally, mentally, economically, socially. They do it on different platforms. They do it with your money. They do it in the news media. White supremacy operates in all realms in the world. It's amazing how a small portion of white supremacists can control the entire world. But some people would like to feel as though that white supremacy doesn't exist, that terrorism doesn't exist. Now, you see the thumbnail. You had senators, you had high political officials laying down in their chairs behind a wall, feared for their life. That's terror. People who are hiding are in fear because a mob who ravaged the Capitol, which some people like to deem good white people. Now, granted, a lot of you may not understand what are white people in America. And I'm just going to show you. Have you guys ever filled out a employment and it says, excuse me, and it says white, non-Hispanic? Anybody ever seen that? White, non-Hispanic? Because Hispanic people, some of them, about 30 to 40% of Hispanics in America actually consider themselves white. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that? That 30 to 40% of Hispanics in America consider themselves white. A lot of people do not understand that a lot of Hispanic people consider themselves white because they can blend in. They're white Hispanics. And they're from everywhere. They're from South America. They're from Mexico. There's white Mexicans, Argentinians, you name it. If they're not from Spain, okay, they're white Hispanics, especially when they label themselves. Who else consider themselves white? Arabic people consider themselves white. And if you know anything, Arabics was also one of the first people to enslave Africans. A lot of people don't understand that, but they're considered themselves white. I'm trying to pop up this information to make sure I give you what America deems who are white people. America also deems who are white people. And a lot of people don't understand that. So if you are Hispanic, you know too that some of your family, even maybe yourself, have considered yourselves white. Then people say, okay, I consider myself white. If you're not Spanish, essentially, just because you have lighter skin and you can blend that doesn't consider yourself white. But America, anybody who blends in can fit in. And with that being said, white supremacy, that belief of white supremacy constitutes a superior race and should therefore dominate society, typically to exclusion or determine of other racial ethnic groups, particularly blacks and Jews. That is the definition from Oxford Language. I'm just letting you know. I'll give you the one for another well-known Merriam-Webster. I know you guys love that one. It says here that the belief that white race is inherently superior to other races and that white people should have control over people of other races. I'm going to tell you what is missing. The second one says the social, economic, and political systems that collectively enable white people to maintain power over people of other races. Let me read that again because you need to coincide. You need to compare and contrast. You need to combine what you saw was happening on the Capitol and what the definition of white supremacy is. And again, the social, economic, and political systems that collectively enable white people to maintain power over people of other races. So not only were these good white people who peacefully protested are terrorists, but they're white supremacists because they try to overthrow the government to stop the peaceful transfer of power. And a lot of those people, believe it or not, if you look at some of the picture, they were Hispanics. So when Hispanics, and I have a lot of Hispanic friends, they know I'm not talking about them, but when Hispanics, because they can skin in and fit in, they skin in, right? Because they have the white Hispanic skin in. There's white Puerto Ricans, there are white Mexicans, there are white non-Spanish people that are from Spain. The only Spanish people, I don't care if you're from Honduras, I don't care if you're from the Dominican Republic, I don't care where you're from. If you're not from Spain, you're not Spanish. You are from Dominican Republic, so you are Dominican. If you're from Argentina, then you're Argentinian. If you're from Portugal, then you're from Portugal. But if you're from Brazil, then you're Brazilian. You're not Portuguese. That is your language. And all of these people who from all these different countries are in support of white supremacy because when they skin in, they fit in. Because if you go to Brazil, you got Brazilians as dark as me, and you got Brazilians as white as Donald Trump. There's a color caste system almost in every country, even Mexico. One of my friends is almost as white as Donald Trump, and then I have a friend that's probably 2 shades lighter than me. But they also have Afro-Mexicans. Then we understand Puerto Ricans. They can be as dark as me and they can be as white as Donald Trump. So a lot of these people come over here and they put down white because they want white privilege. What is the benefit of you putting down white? Better access to wealth, better job opportunities, better business deals. And people don't understand that this is why people do this. That's why they consider themselves white, because they don't want to be considered Hispanic or Black or Afro or African American or Asian, because they understand when they consider themselves that they may go through some discrimination, some biases, some racism, and they're not subjugated to white supremacy because they are in support of white supremacy. Because you have an identity crisis with yourself. You don't want to put that label on you that I'm Hispanic, that I'm Black. Because you'll go to Dominican Republic and they'll say, oh, no, I'm not Black, I'm Dominican. Dude, you dark as me. Your ancestors are from Africa. Now, you don't have to associate yourself with the word Black, but aren't you Nubian? Aren't you of African descent? Well, I consider myself Spanish. No, Spanish people from Spain, they have white skin. But these good white people did a peaceful march on Washington. They did a peaceful march on Washington. Let me look this up very, very quickly so I can tell you guys this information. Very important. And I see you said Jermaine Anderson and Brandon Mason said the irony. Yeah, this is the world that we live in. So I'm gonna tell you guys who consider themselves white. This is what the U.S. Census Bureau actually said that they consider white people in America. Listen to this. White, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. They're considered white people. They're considered white people. They're considered white people. People who are from Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Because we understand, if you look at North African countries that were conquered by people from the Middle East, like Morocco, you'll see a color caste system of white Moroccans to dark Moroccans. But they would all consider themselves white. See, and we're Hispanics from all around the world, Latinos from all around the world come to America. When they can skin in, they can fit in, and 30 to 40% of them consider themselves white. And some of them, if you watch the pictures on the infiltration of the U.S. Capitol, they were in support of white supremacy, and they are deemed terrorists. Now, granted, this I need to say it every video. I'm not saying all Hispanics are terrorists. I'm not saying all Hispanics consider themselves white. Not saying that. I said 30 or 40% of the people who come to America because they understand the racial disparities in America. But these good white people, these good tax-paying, red-blooded, waving the flag, marching down the streets in D.C. Americans who scaled the wall of the Capitol, who forced their way through the front doors, these very peaceful protesters. Now, I had, again, a subscriber to come at me a long monologue of, oh, well, you label these guys white supremacists, then the very few people of the Black Lives Matter protests who were peaceful and, did for a great cause, that very few percentage who were looting and rioting, then we can say they're just thugs. No. Two different causes. Black Lives Matter movement was protesting to essentially wipe away implied immunity for police officers because police brutality. They wanted justice. They wanted equality. That's why they were marching. That's why they were protesting. Then you got the Antifa and some other people out doing some very devious things, making kind of like shading the whole protest. But we know majority of the Black Lives Matter movement, which was 50% Black and almost 50% white. We had Hispanics in there as well supporting us. And I appreciate that. But here's the thing. The difference between the two protests is that those Trump supporters, those terrorists, those white supremacists who marched on the Capitol, they were trying to stop the peaceful transfer of power. That is treasonous. That is unlawful. They were trespassing on government property. Not only did they forbade the COVID-19 laws and regulations of the Capitol, but none of these suckers had on masks. So again, you can call them, you can't say first attempted murder. You could probably say, battery and assault. That they were trying to spread the COVID-19 virus. There's so many charges that can be brought up on these people, on these good white people who were exercising their right to peacefully protest. So white, this is what United States Census Bureau said. White people, a person's having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe. Isn't Europe a continent? Isn't Europe a continent? I mean, you got Scottish, you got Irish, you got French, you got Spanish, you got Portugal, Belgium, UK. I mean, the list goes on and on. All those people are considered white. Then you have Black or African American. It's funny how there's only two colors in America. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that? White and black. That's it. We used to call Asians yellow and we used to call Hispanics brown. Now, some people till this day still call Hispanics brown, but not America. When you look, see, this is the thing. People go off talking points. No, I got off with, I call reading points. I read what's on government websites because that is what they really go by. See, you have to read legislation. You have to read legislation. You have to read the laws and bills of this land. Because whatever people say, you can't take that to the bank. Whatever people say in this country, you can't take that to the bank. But what they write on their government websites, you can. You can hold their feet to the fire. Here's what they say about Black or African Americans. Listen to this. A person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. A person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. Now, if I have any African brothers or sisters that are in the chat, please let me know. Prior to this whole slavery thing, did you guys call each other Black? Because I was told by many Africans they never called themselves Black until since the turn of the century. This is a new term even from Africans. They did not call themselves Black. So what Black racial groups is America talking about? They used to call themselves Guyanese or Kenyans or Ugandans or Tanzanians or Senegalese people. They call themselves their own countrymen. They didn't call, hey, I'm just a Black man. No, I'm Nigerian. You don't really hear too many Africans saying I'm Black. They say, no, I'm Nigerian because they know what country they come from. But Black or African Americans, a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. I mean, they could have worded this so much better because this is not even remotely true because there's no such thing as Black racial groups of Africa. If they say a person having origins in any of the countries of melanated skin in Africa, meaning if you have melanation, okay, light skin, brown skin, dark skin, we know we got some in-betweens in there. Let's just keep it real. light skin, brown skin, and dark skin, because in each level, in each light skin, I believe there's 3 tiers. In each brown skin, there's 3 tiers. And each dark skin, I'm not the darkest of the dark. I may be the lightest of the dark. I may be the medium of the dark. But the point I'm making is this. What black racial groups are in Africa? I'm going to move on. American Indian and Alaskan Natives, a person having origin in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central American, and who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment. Let's move on. That's very self-explanatory. Now, Asians, have you noticed I only said the word white and black? I have not said brown. I haven't said brown yet or yellow, but Asians, which out of people's mouths are considered yellow, because we have a color code. We have a color system in America that only derives of 2 colors. This is from the Census Bureau.gov. It only derives of 2 colors, white and black. So when people are like, why is always white and black stuff? Because this is what America has put us up against. White and black. Because everybody else got everybody else has a country. Everybody else have an origin. But for some reason, white is right. Asian, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, Philippine Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. Then you have your native Hawaiians or other Pacific Islanders. And did you know, according to the Census Bureau, they don't have Hispanics here? Because when we talk about race, did you know that Hispanic and or Latino is not a race? I'm about to mess somebody up. Did you know that if you consider yourself Hispanic or Latino, you are not a race? You do not fall into white, black, American Indian, Asian, or Native Hawaiian. Did you know that? You are considered an ethnic group. The reason why you are considered an ethnic group, because the Spanish from Spain, plunder, rape, and savage Native Americans, which made up all the Hispanics and Latinos. Because damn near every Mexican, damn near every Puerto Rican, damn near every Dominican, you're mixed with Native American and African. Did you know that? See, I talked to some Mexicans who actually knew that they were mixed with African. I said, I know that I'm mostly Spanish, Native American, and I know I have African blood. I said, what, you know that? He said, yeah. He wasn't delusional. That's why they are an ethnic, because they Hispanics and Latinos are usually 2 to 3 races mixed. And those races are people from Spain, people from Africa, and Native Americans or indigenous people of the different lands around the world. Hispanics and Latinos are not considered a race. They're considered an ethnic group because they are mixed with majority with Spaniards, indigenous and Native Americans, and Africans. That is why Puerto Ricans sometimes get mixed in with black people, because they have the most strongest African features next to people of the Dominican Republic. And if you go to Mexico, in certain towns and cities in Mexico, you will see Afro-Mexicans as dark as me. Why is this important? This is important because we understand that good white people peacefully protest on the Capitol yesterday. And some of those good white people was not all originated from Europe. They was not all originated from Europe. And that is what we need to understand. So when they scaled the walls of the Capitol, when they broke out the windows of the Capitol, when they was taking official documents from senators' offices in the Capitol, when they were sitting in the chairs and disgracing a lot of these offices and putting their feet up, these good white people was exercising their right to protest. And you wonder why only one lady got killed who got shot in the neck accidentally. They only fired one shot. 4 others died from medical complications like probably heat exhaustion because they climbed out that damn wall. Strokes, maybe some brain aneurysms, but they died for medical reasons. They didn't die because they got pepper sprayed the entire time. No. Because they got fired upon with rubber bullets. No, that didn't happen. That these Secret Service people who were barricading inside of a room didn't fire into the crowd. I wonder the pep rally that they had with Donald Trump previous to them marching on the Capitol. I wonder if Donald Trump gave instructions to the Capitol Police, the DC Police, the Secret Service to stand down and let them by. And listen, you guys may not understand some of the largest white supremacy groups in America. And if you go and research these people and you take your time and you comb through all the pictures that they have from all of these people that were storming and infiltrating and trespassing in the Capitol building, you will soon find out that a lot of these members were from the American Renaissance. These are white supremacist groups. American Renaissance, Hammerskins, League of the South, National Socialist Movement, National Socialist Club, Patriot Front, Rise Above, The Base, the Proud Boys, American Patriots. The list goes on and on and on. But you say, oh man, they only got like 50, 40 members. Yeah, one group may have 50 members, another group may have 1,000. Remember the group that were going to try to kidnap the Minnesota mayor, or was it mayor? Mayor, I believe. The governor. I believe it was the governor or mayor. I think it was the governor of Minnesota. No. It was the mayor because mayor or governor. I forget. But put that in the chat if you know. So I want you guys to understand how narratives and perspectives get absolutely switched when you watch media. Because when they were people out there marching for Black Lives Matter to essentially stop police brutality, they were called thugs. They were called hoodlums. They were called despicables. They were called looters and rioters. They were called domestic terrorists. But see, when the dominant society marches on their own country to stop the peaceful transfer of power in the republic, you don't hear people say this a lot. You hear people say democracy. I'm gonna say this is the republic because that's what the Constitution says. So when you see good white people peacefully marching on the Capitol to stop a peaceful transfer of power in the republic, you don't get the same name calling. You don't get the same labeling. There's only a few people who will call it out what it is. And this is the dominant society holding their nuts. They're organized. They had a plan. They were unified and they executed. It didn't. Now, granted, even though their plan failed, because the transfer of power still occurred, but that doesn't mean that they didn't go in just marching and protesting. No. They had an agenda and they followed it. And I think they took some pointers from Malcolm X. By any means necessary. They were all in the hall of the Capitol taking pictures with statues, standing on statues, hanging from the banisters. Totally disrespectful to what the land and the buildings that they deemed the most as relics. So we got Kate Buffalo, and I'm going to show this one. Kate Buffalo says 1967, Black Panthers were armed inside the Capitol building. Show me. They were on the Capitol. Show me where they were inside the Capitol with their guns. Show me. They were on the Capitol front, and they didn't break in. They didn't break in. They didn't take barricades physically from police officers. They didn't get into physical altercations with law enforcement like this mob, these terrorists did. See, this is when people come inside the chat and they don't like what you're talking about, and they automatically throw in, oh, the Black Panther Party, because he knows one bit of history, but he don't know the history. He knows a bit of history, but he does not know the history. This is the problem where people try to deflect and say, oh, well, Black people are just as bad as white people. Not when it comes into supporting and upholding the system of oppression and white supremacy. That's what white supremacy will like to have you. I didn't say he was a Trump supporter. See, now he's like this. No. I didn't say he was a Trump supporter, but I'm telling you, with your comments, understand, I'm not like everybody else. They read a comment, I'm gonna address your comment. I'm gonna address the comment because I know what the hell I'm talking about. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. He said he's well informed and it wasn't a deflection. Well, if you're well informed, brother or sister or person or man or it, then you should have known that the Black Panther Party was on the steps of the Capitol and not inside the Capitol. But anyway, I digress. All right, let's see what you guys have been saying. Jermaine Anderson, he's on his stocks. Learning every day, LOL. But guys, I just wanted to bring this to your attention because, I don't like when the media talks about our good white people out here peacefully protesting. See, when you get these thugs, hooligans, okay, these criminals, these despicable Black Lives Matter protesters, when they're marching in the street and the good police officers are doing their job by tasering, shooting them with wax bullets, rubber bullets, putting pepper spray in their eyes. I don't like to see when our good white protesters that marched on the Capitol exercising their right of assembly and protest. I don't like to see what I saw where only, 5 of them got, one got killed, 4 got injured or, died because of medical complications. I don't like to see that. Not our good white people. But when you take these hooligans, these thugs, these criminals of Black Lives Matter marching for the end of police brutality and fighting for justice and equality, who didn't get in physical altercations, most likely with the police, considering the numbers of them that were out there, they got incarcerated, they got killed, they got brutalized, they got baton, they got tasered. Those Black Lives Matters, man, they even though they had their hands up and when the police had their barricades, they stopped. They didn't push through. Man, I can't believe these Black Lives Matter protest people. See, that's why we need more good white people protesting on the Capitol because they know how to do it. They asked the guy at the front door, can I come in? Can we come in? We just want to talk to Nancy Pelosi, go visit her office, maybe help her out with some of her paperwork. That's the good white people. That is the good white people. Now that, Kate Buffalo, I agree. Dems and Republicans are 2 wings on the same wicked bird. I do agree. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my perspective. That is my rant. That is my information. This is a response to a lot of comments I was receiving from my last video, just to address why I called out these people to be white supremacists and terrorists. So if you're just tuning in, please rewind the video. You'll see I broke it down with it be my own context and as well as definition to explain exactly what I've been doing. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn the difference when a white supremacist is a terrorist and all white supremacists are terrorists and how some terrorists are white supremacists. I'm out.